What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner, a channel dedicated to all things Arsenal Football Club, who are, as we know, by far the greatest team the world has ever seen, even if it doesn't always feel like that. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the lunchtime kickoff defeat to Everton at Goodison Park and seeing if I can find any positives at all and try and explain what might have happened. Before we carry on, we're a new channel. I would love it if you would, with some kindness, click the subscribe button to be kept regularly updated with all the news, views from our beloved Arsenal. And if you like this video at the end, do consider smashing a like. So where to start? Well, something that I think we can't say we weren't at least expecting that this might happen today. If we have a bogey club in the Premier League, it is at the moment Everton. Had the same thing happen to us last year where we just did not turn up, and today was no different. We saw a really well-marshalled defensive team, another Sean Dyche masterclass really. In the interview he did on BT Sport before the game, something that worried me a little bit at the time was when he was talking about how he'd really got to the players, reminding them that these were not bad players, and they're not, by and large. They're certainly not deserving to be where they are. And he reminded them of how good they are and seems to have got to them. So one of the concerns we had was that new manager bounce. Well, there it is again. And whilst Iwobi didn't score, there was a good performance all round in marshalling the midfield. We had so many lacklustre performances. On the one hand, Martinelli and Saka double tagged all the way through it, tightly marked, never really got a sniff of the game. But Odegaard, surprisingly quiet and just did not seem to be... It's almost like he had a stomach bug or something. Thomas Partey coming off for Jorginho. The curse of Jorginho, he played 1 minute before we conceded the goal, so hopefully he hasn't brought the Chelsea curse with him. And Trossard, who I thought would come on, despite a couple of moves and certainly looking livelier, cutting inside just didn't manage to make the difference we needed. It just felt like a really underwhelming performance. Eddie Nketiah up front had fewer touches than Ramsdale, and even though we made a sort of last 20-minute rally, just never really tested Pickford in the Everton goal. So are there any positives? Well, on the surface of it, not really. But the prospect of us going an entire season without these kind of things happening is already impossible. This is not an invincible season. We've already lost once before this game, and now it's only a second defeat. So let's not get too carried away and depressed about it, even though it is a really frustrating game. We had the same thing up there last year. But right after losing in that last-minute goal, or in the very dying stages of the game, we ended up going on a 5-game winning streak, only beaten by Manchester City, and still a great performance when we lost to Manchester City. So hopefully we can do the same again, and I'm looking for a huge bounce back against Brentford. This is a very young squad, and I don't know what it is about Everton, whether it's just that the crowd are so close to the pitch and really get behind their team, and you have to give them an enormous amount of credit. They could have been absolutely toxic, as I thought they might be, and instead they decided to get really behind Sean Dyche. I guess they played their part, but really this comes down to Arsenal not coping well with a very physical team. Certainly Idrissa Gueye should have been wearing boxing gloves. But overall, it did feel a little bit like men against boys, which is something that I've seen a lot of in Arsenal teams previous to the Arteta reign, and perhaps in the beginning of the Arteta reign. We are going to come across teams that decide to play a sit back and really double team on our wingers. We then need players like Odegaard and Thomas Partey to really step forward, and it just didn't happen today. Perhaps there was a complacency. Perhaps we thought this was all on, that this was a done deal and we were going to go there and steal the 3 points with an easy performance. And this is a really good wake-up call. I had hoped that the second half would be an improvement. I thought maybe Arteta would really get into the team, but it just didn't seem to happen. And having watched Chelsea last night in what was one of the most boring games I've ever seen, really misfire, I have to say this wasn't really that much better. So consolation that we might not have spent 600 million, but still, we're used to better from Arsenal. I hope it's not the start of a bit of a confidence loss in the team. I'm certainly still 100% believing, but you have to say, really, not what we were hoping for. Leaves us in a really tight position now. Tomorrow with Man City travelling to Shite Hart Lane, and I find myself in the awful position of having to cheer on Tottenham. If they can get a result, then this isn't so bad. It's a long march to this title, and as I've said, there are going to be times where our confidence is called into question, and today is one of those days. I'm going to carry on believing, I'm going to keep the faith, and I'm going to keep cheering. Where we are is a miracle based on what we've done before this season. The fact that we have still got 50 points, even though it's now 20 games played, is something to be really proud of. Don't lose heart, keep cheering them on, and let's make sure that we raise the spirits before the game against Brentford so that we can return to the kind of winning form that's seen us top of the table. Thanks for watching. Like I said, if you could just click subscribe, we're going to do a video. Well, I'm going to do a video every single day to talk about all the things Arsenal, the club that we love. And I look forward to having you along for the journey as we grow this towards a championship. Lots of love.